Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Automation in Detail. Shiva here. In the previous video, we have discussed about Appium's architecture on Android platform in detail. In this video, we will talk about architecture on iOS platform. But before we get into that, if you guys are watching this video first, I would request you guys to go back and watch that Android video first for better understanding. And also most of the terminologies that I will be using in this video is already explained in detail there. I'll add a link to that Android video in the top right corner of this video. So please watch that one before continuing with this video. Okay, coming to the architecture, when your test script sends a create session W3C WebDriver Protocol HTTP request to the Appium server will process that request, and if in that request, if the platform name is defined as iOS and automation name is defined as Xctest, then it creates a new session with Xctest driver and delegates the control to this driver to take the task from here onwards. Now, the Xctest driver uses the Xcode to set up the required simulator and launch it and connect to it based on the device name, platform name, bundle ID that is mentioned in the request. Okay, what is Xcode? Xcode is Apple's IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment, used for developing applications for Mac OS, iOS, watchOS, and tvOS. Okay. Now, once this simulator connection is established, the Xctest driver installs the application that you want to test on the simulator. Now, after that app installation is completed, now the Appium server through the Xctest driver will install the WebDriver Agent Runner app, which is a part of this WebDriver Agent project in the simulator. Okay, what is this WebDriver Agent? WebDriver Agent is actually a project developed by the Facebook for iOS app UI automation, and it acts as a bridge between your Appium server and iOS devices for performing UI automation. Like how UI automator to server played a role in Android app automation, right? Similar kind of role is played by WebDriver Agent in iOS. But there is one key difference between these two servers that I'll explain when reading the execution logs. Okay, and before that, I want to show you guys one thing. Let me go back to the official WebDriver Agent GitHub page. Yeah, this is the one. So if we read this right, so they're saying that they are archiving this WebDriver agent. So, and also the code will remain here for your future use, but they will no longer be actively supported by Facebook. So, and they are open sourcing the IDB, that is Android iOS development bridge. It's a command line interface for automating iOS simulators and devices, and they are currently migrating our own internal project from WDA to IDB, suggesting to check this website. Okay, so what they are trying to say here is that it is no longer WDA, that is WebDriver agent anymore. So from 2019 onwards, right? So they are started migrating to iOS development bridge. So that means whatever the task that WebDriver agent server was doing, now that will be handled by the iOS development bridge. Okay, but one more thing is that I'm still getting some more information on this iOS development bridge, like how to install and how to integrate with this our Appium code and try to run it. So once I get more information on that, I'll be creating a separate video. But for this demo purpose, I mean the architecture explanation purpose, let's go with the WebDriver agent server. Okay. Okay, so once this WebDriver agent server is installed, now the Xctest driver will wait for the WebDriver agent server to be started in the simulator. So once it starts, now whatever the WebDriver command that it has got from the Appium server, it will route that request as it is to the WebDriver agent server. Now the WebDriver agent server will process this request and forward these commands to WebDriver agent runner app that is installed in the simulator. Don't worry about this. When the execution is completed or during the execution, right, I'll show you how it is installed. Okay, now this WebDriver agent runner app will execute those commands on the actual installed your testing application with the help of Apple's Xctest framework, and returns the successful session creation response, including the session ID to the Xctest driver. Then Xctest driver will send this response back to your Appium server, and then it in turn sends response back to your test script, indicating that the session is successfully created now. Now, What is this Xctest framework? See, it is a part of Xctest framework provided by the Apple, and it is specifically designed for automating UI test on iOS app. Okay, let me show that also. Okay, you just have to go here and type Xctest. Yeah, and this is the website. Okay, so this is a Xctest framework. So this is how it looks, and we want to see the UI framework actually. So here you can see, right, user interface test. Let me open that. Yep, as you can see here, we have XU element query. So if I just open that, suppose for example you want to click on some element. Okay, so what does a WebDriver agent runner will do is that whatever the commands that you have sent to the WebDriver agent runner, with the help of this XUE test framework, it will try to find that element and click on it. So if you want to see the method how it looks, oh yeah, this is how it looks. So if you want to click on this, right, this is how it is defined in the XUE test framework. Okay, under this XUE element. Okay, and this is the method. So this is the framework, Xctest framework, and you guys can go and check if you want more details on it, like what and all elements or what and all methods that is actually using internally, so that you guys get more information on that. Okay, so let me go back to the PPT. Yeah, I think I have explained the complete flow. Let us go back to the IntelliJ. Okay, let me explain the code one more time with respect to iOS. Let me go inside this initialize driver method. So here I'm setting the path for the iOS application as well, and the name of that application is UIKit catalog app. So that is currently present here. Okay, that iOS path I'm mentioning here, and I'm just doing if else condition for Appium server, because we can have the both Appium server installed as a CLI, and also I can use the Appium desktop server. So this is just a parameter just added for this method, so that I can use any one server if as and when needed. Okay, but anyways, for this demo purpose, I'll just stick to Appium CLI server. Now coming to this switch case Android, we have discussed in the previous video. Coming to the iOS, right? So here I'm using XUE test options class to set all the capabilities that are required for iOS app automation. So as you can see here, I'm setting the platform name as iOS, automation name as XUE test, and the device name is iPhone 15 Pro. That is, this is the simulator that I'm currently using for the demo, and the platform version of that device is 17.5, and also I'm passing the this application, the testing application path to this setup method, and also setting the UDID. See, what is UDID? UDID is actually a unique device ID of this simulator or iOS devices. So if you see, I'm passing some value. So how do I get this value? That's simple actually, nothing. You just have to open the terminal, but make sure that your simulator is whatever the target simulator that you are trying to test, right, that is up and running. So after that, you have to run the command xc run sim and list. Yeah, let me maximize that, or yeah. So if I zoom a bit here, so these are the list of the simulators, the devices that are available in the Xcode. But so the one currently up and running is this one, the booted one, right? So booted one means the one which I have kept it open and running, right? So this is the one. And what is the UDID of that? So UDID of that 15 Pro is 3B3122, sorry, 210E. Is it same? Yes, it is same, right? So it is matching. So this is the UDID. You need to send in the request, and also I'm setting the simulator startup timeout, because initially it requires more time to install, do all the initial setup and all. And now it doesn't require that much time. And the new command timeout I have set it to 2 minutes. And it is sending the iOS driver. I mean, it is returning the iOS driver back to this method. I'm and storing it in an Appium driver variable. So after that, I'm trying to find an element that has the accessibility ID as alerts view. Once it is found, I'm going to click on it. After that, same as usual, like how we did in Android, right? We're going to quit the driver, and the respective messages will also be printed during the execution. Let me show you the application, how it looks. So this is the application which is already installed in the simulator. Let me open that. Yeah, so this is the element which we will find, and once it is found, we'll click on it. So after that, we'll quit the driver. Okay, and if you observe one thing, I told you, right, see, Xctest driver will also install the WebDriver agent runner app, right? So this is the app which I was talking about. If you want to see the full name of it, let me do like this. Let me just try to hard close. I don't want to hard close right now, but if you see, right, it is saying WebDriver agent runner app. Okay, now what I will do, I'll uninstall this application and also the WebDriver agent runner app, because I want you guys to know from the beginning what is happening right from the installation of this testing application as well as the WebDriver agent runner app. Let me delete that, and let me delete WebDriver agent runner app also. Yep, so it's deleted. Now it's not present anywhere here. Let me do one thing. Let me quit the simulator also. Let's see how it forms a connection with simulator. Okay, so now the simulator is also quit, only the Xcode is running here. Okay, let me clear it. I don't want to see all this device detail. Let me clear the logs and let me launch the Appium server. Okay, so as you can see, Appium server started running in the local host, and I have the Xctest driver also installed. So it's time for us to execute the script. Okay, let me start running the iOS test. Yes, it is marked as iOS. Run it. Okay, let me open the logs. Yes, as you can see, the simulator started. Okay, it is, yeah, it has installed the testing application. Now it has to install the WebDriver agent runner app. So that is currently happening. Don't worry, I'll explain each and everything in detail. So yeah, that is also installed. Now after that, your testing application has to be launched. Yep, it launched, and it has to find this element. It found, it clicked on it. So yep, it's done. Looks like it's a successful run. Yes, it is a successful run. Okay, that's good. Now let's go back to the log and start reading it. Okay, yep, here it is. Okay, so what our test script is doing, so we are sending the post request. Again, this is as per the W3C WebDriver Protocol, which I have explained in the Android video. So please do go and watch that video for complete understanding. Okay, now we are sending this new session create session request with all these capabilities that I have mentioned in the script. That the device name is iPhone 15 Pro, and the automation name is Xctest, and the location of the testing application. Now what Appium driver is doing is that it is trying to find the automation name as Xctest and the platform name is iOS. Once it is matched, it has to take the help of Xctest driver to send this request to the respective devices. Right now, the Xctest driver will do that job for Appium driver. So it took the help, it got the Xctest driver. Okay, now it is trying to create a new session with that, with this capabilities. Now if you see here, so it formed a session. Again here also guys, there will be two session ID created. Let me do one thing. Let me copy this and paste it here so that while explaining it becomes easy. Okay, now after that, so first, before execution, we have quit the simulator, right? It was not ready to accept the commands. So if you see here, first it needs to form a connection with, or first you need to set up that simulator with the help of Xcode. So that is what it is currently doing here. So it is, if you see here, the Xctest driver with the help of Xcode, it is trying to construct or set up that iOS simulator with this UDID. Right, this is the UDID which we have mentioned in our script as well. Let me just quickly show you that. Yeah, this is the one. So are we seeing the same thing here? Let us just quickly see that. Yes, same thing, right? Now it is trying to set up that simulator with the help of Xcode, and this is not a real device because it's a simulator. That's why it is showing it as false. So after that, it is trying to check whether this application is present in the path which I mentioned. Yes, it is. Now Yeah, here it is, right? Whether it is there or not, app is present, and it is trying to, yeah, it is trying to terminate this application if it is already present here, but it is failed. Why failed? Because the simulator is not yet launched. So because if you see here, still even here, right, it is still setting up the simulator, but at the background it's already doing its process. Now after that, it is taking the help of, because it has to install, first it needs to set up the simulator, after that it has to install your testing application and also the WebDriver agent. Okay, so that is what is currently happening in this log. And if we continue seeing these logs, what it is trying to do here is that it is trying to setting up this simulator and setting up, updated, yeah, no, yeah, simulator is booted here if you see, right? So that means the simulator is successfully launched. Then this is the UD ID of that simulator. Now what it is doing is that it is checking the bundle executable bundle ID of this UI catalog app. See, bundle ID is nothing but a unique ID that is used to or defined to differentiate your application, that iOS application in the Apple's ecosystem. It's like a unique name given to that application, which follows the reverse domain, naming convention. Now, after that, what it is trying to do is that it is trying to, yeah, check whether that application is installed in the device or not. So because that is a basic check one needs to do, right? If it is already installed, there is no point of reinstalling that application, right? So it is not installed yet. Now it is trying to install that application. If you can see here, install that application which I have mentioned in this path on the simulator in this, which is having this UDID. Now the app has been successfully installed, and this is the time it took. After that, it has to install the WDA, that is WebDriver agent. So that is what currently it is doing, starting the WebDriver agent initialization with the help of Xctest driver, and it is trying to send the request to the WDA, that is Xctest driver is sending the status. It is checking whether the the WebDriver agent runner is currently installed and ready to accept the commands. So that request it is currently sending, and it got refused because it is not listening. It is not at running. So that is what it is saying. It is not at running. There is nothing to cache. So before that, I told you guys that WebDriver agent runner app will also be installed when we are doing this, and this is nothing but it's a part of WDA. That means WebDriver agent runner app is actually a test runner for WDA, which is a part of WDA project. Let me show you that actually. Okay, before somewhere here we saw that path. Okay, here it is using WDJ agent. This is the path. Okay, so what I'll do, let me copy this. I'll copy this path. I'll go to folder. This is the one. Yeah. So if you see here, yep, this is a WebDriver agent, the entire project, and WebDriver agent runner is a part of WebDriver agent. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you guys. Now this WebDriver agent is getting installed, and the Xctest driver is continuously sending the request to the WebDriver agent to check whether it is up and running. And if you see here, it is keep on sending the request get status, because this is where it is started. The WebDriver agent is started here on the trying to start on that port, but it is saying that it is connection is refused, means it is not at started and running. So it is, but it is keep on sending the request. Now if you see here, finally it got the successful response here saying that I am ready to accept the command. So it is mentioned here. So this is the WebDriver agent. As I told you, right, WebDriver agent runner is a part of, it's a project developed by the Facebook. So as you can see, the bundle identifier here as well for that. And also this is the reverse domain format that they are maintaining. And yeah, as you can see here, message WebDriver agent is ready to accept commands. Yep. here it has sent the response saying that yes boss, I am ready to accept the commands. Now you can send your request. Now it has successfully started. Okay, that log. And one more thing is that after successfully it started, it is just maintaining the logs, and now the Xctest driver is proxying that create session. We know that, right? In the last video we have discussed how does that create session endpoint looks like. Okay, let me just quickly show you guys, like whoever is seeing for the first time, W3C protocol, WebDriver protocol, and let me find like new session. Here it is. So to create a new session, we have to hit this endpoint, that session endpoint, and the request is post. So that means Xctest driver already got this post session request. Now it is sending that proxying, means it is just routing that request to the WebDriver agent server. So it is just proxying as it is to the WebDriver agent server. Now it got the response, that is Xctest driver got the response with 200 status and with the session ID. Again guys, if you see here, the session ID that got created is between the Xctest driver and the WebDriver agent server, not with the Appium server. That's why I have copy pasted the first session ID which got created between your script, that means your client, and the Appium server. Okay, now this is the session ID, and this is the session ID that got created between Xctest driver and WebDriver agent server. Okay, both are different. It starts, first one starts with 97801, the second one starts with 1493. Okay, let us go back to the log, and also it is sending the device details, like what is the device SDK version 17.5. Now after that, again, now Xctest driver has to send the response back to our script, right, through the Appium server. So that is currently happening here, saying that yeah, new session is created successfully. This is the session ID added to that session ID created between Appium driver and Xctest driver is logged in this master session list. Now it is responding to client. If you see, the Xctest driver is responding the client with all the device details, that is the simulator details. As you can see, the platform version of the device, UDID of the device, everything. Now this is sent back to the client. Now once we got the successful session created response, we have to use that session ID for further element interaction, whether it could be finding element, clicking on it, or getting the text, whatever it is. Session ID is very much important. Now if you see here, now the test script is sending the post request again with the session, and this is the session ID which we have got. Let me go back and show 97801, and this is the element. In the last video I have already discussed while trying to find element which endpoint it will call. This is the element, this is the endpoint it will be calling, and this is the body of the request. Now it is sending to Xctest driver. The Xctest driver is calling this method find element, and it has to route that request as it is to the WebDriver agent runner. So if you see here, yeah, this is what I wanted to discuss actually. Proxying post element to the WebDriver agent runner. But if you observe one thing carefully, the body of the request is not changed, right? Let me go back to the PPT. Yeah. So if you see here, so we are sending the request to find that element, and the key using value is accessibility ID, and the value key for value key, the value is alerts view. This is the body of the request. When it is sent to the Xctest driver, it is sending this request as it is without changing the body of the request to the WebDriver agent. But if you had observed that in Android, it was, yeah, this is the Android. When we sent the find element request, this was the body of the request. But before sending it to the Web UI Automator 2 server, we are converting that WebDriver command request to the Android specific request. So it got changed from 2 key value pairs to 4 key value pairs. But if you observe in iOS, that is not happening. Why? Because WebDriver agent runner understands your WebDriver commands as it is, and it converts those WebDriver commands into actions that iOS XUI test framework can execute. But on Android ecosystem, it needs the UI automator to driver to convert those WebDriver commands into Android specific request before sending it to the UI automator to server. So this was the key difference which I was talking about. So WebDriver agent runner will internally, get those receives those WebDriver commands and convert it into the respective actions that iOS XUI test framework is expecting. Okay, there is no, no, the extra load on the XUI test driver to convert those commands into the iOS specific the actions. Okay, so that is taken care by the WebDriver agent. Okay, let us go back to the logs. Now what we are trying to do here is that we are trying to find that element and we are proxying it to that, and we got the response and we got the element ID also, right? And also in the last video I have explained this two keys which are having the same value. So please go and check that video, guys. And one more thing, when it is proxying, right, if you see the session ID is different. Okay, if I see, go back to the framework, yeah, this is the session ID created between Xctest driver and the WebDriver agent server. Is it same? Yes, it is 14939, not the 97801. Okay, now it got the response and this is the element ID, and it has to send the response back to the client with the same response. So that is what it is doing. So it is sending the element reference ID so that our test script can use that element reference ID, that is this one, to perform click operation. So again our script is sending post session, this session ID, the element endpoint and the element ID, and the click endpoint we need to call. Same thing we are doing. And if there is one line where the XUI test driver will replace the session ID with the session ID that got created between the WebDriver agent, that is somewhere here. Yes, here it is. So if you see here, it is replacing the session ID 149, the one, that is before sending the response back. Here somewhere it is actually. Okay, I think not here, so sorry for that. No, yeah, now it is sending the request to the WebDriver agent runner to perform click operation. Now it got the 200 response saying that yes, it performed a click operation. So let me show that PPT. Yeah, this is one. So this code is execution is done. Now we have to click on it, and this is a endpoint we need to call. This is the element ID, and we are sending to the XUI test driver. XUI test driver in turn sending to the WebDriver agent to process that request. And now it will take the help of WebDriver agent runner that will internally use the XUI test framework to interact with your application. Now once that click operation is performed, it is sending the response saying that 200 status code, that's just session ID, because we are not retrieving any value, and it is sent back to the XUI test driver and into the Appium server and back to your test script. The same thing is happening here as well. We got the response 200, value null, just a session ID is returned. And now if you see here, the session ID which got from the WebDriver agent is this, that is the second one. Now it is replacing that session ID with the first session ID which it got created with your Appium server. Okay, so that is what is happening here, where it is. Sorry guys, it's difficult to read these logs. Everything looks same. Just bear with me. Yeah, here it is. Yep. So it is replacing the session ID with its original session ID that it has created with the Appium server. Now it is sending the response back to your script. Okay, now we got the 200 response. So now we are quitting the driver. So that delete session ID, delete session request is sent out. Now it has to proxy the same thing to WebDriver agent. Now the session, if you see here, we are proxying that. Now we got the response saying that yes, session ID is null. That means the session is ended. Now we are releasing this connection because we need to disconnect the simulator. So that is what is happening here. Now the test script got the response saying that the session is ended, and the message is printed here. Okay, so yeah, I think this is all I wanted to cover in this video. And you guys might be wondering, like, is it required to read all these logs and know all these data and all? But see, the thing is, when it comes to the APM, right, it's better to know how it works behind the scenes and read the logs and get the information out of it. It will definitely help your debugging skills, main debugging skills, as in by reading the logs what is currently happening. Now this is a successful run, you guys are able to understand what is happening. It's like a ideal run. But when there are errors, right, so first thing we need to go and check is the logs, what is happening, and we should develop the skills of reading the log and identifying the issue what is happening. So if you have that skill, it will definitely help you guys stand apart from the crowd. And it will definitely also help you to do whenever you guys are doing framework enhancement, right? This information will definitely help you there. Okay, so yeah, I think this is the end of video. If you guys enjoyed watching it, please like, comment, and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more such contents. Have a great day, guys. See you in the next video.